my impact.
My name is Hon Esosa Iyawe.
Hey guys, this is Antolecki.
My name is Leo Bliss.
My name is Akava. Go by the name Baba D.
You're tuned into
Keep watching Rapid TV.
Meet the men and women shaping the future of Nigeria. Get to know your representatives at the National Assembly. From lawmaking to constituency projects, we'll take you behind the scenes and inside the chambers of the Nigerian National Assembly. Learn about the bills they are championing, the challenges they are facing, and the impacts they are making in their constituencies. We'll also bring you closer to the people they are serving and the stories that shape their work. Join us on NASS WATCH every Friday on Rapid Television at 7 p.m. So get informed, get engaged, and get to know the leaders shaping Nigeria's future.
My name is Hon Esosa Iyawe.
Hey guys, this is Antolecki.
My name is Leo Bliss.
My name is Akava. Go by the name Baba D.
You're tuned into Rapid TV.
And I love Rapid TV.
Shout out Rapid TV. Thank you, Rapid TV. Please keep watching
Rapid TV. This is Rapid TV.
Rapid TV.
Keep watching.
Keep it melt down.
Leave it like that.
Good evening and welcome to NASS WATCH. I am Cynthia Agbo, your host, reaching you live on Rapid Television, channel 176 on Star Times. Tonight, we would briefly remember the legacies of late President Muhammadu Buhari, who left an indelible mark in our nation's history. A look at his impact on the National Assembly. There were not much legislative actions as activities were suspended to enable lawmakers honor the late past president. However, we can help bringing you information on the constitutional review as National Assembly aims to engage citizens in the process. To crown it up, our big conversation will be held with Honourable Esosa Iyawe, member representing Oredo Federal Constituency. Let's go on a very short break. We'll be right back and bring you all the action. Chief of Staff to the President, Right Honourable Femi Gbagidamila, paid a heartfelt tribute to former President Muhammadu Buhari, who died on Sunday, July 13, at the age of 82 in a London hospital. And in his statement, Gbagidamila described the late president as a patriotic statesman who steadfastly protected the independence of the National Assembly, even amid pressures from within the presidency. You recall that Gbagidamila served as Speaker of the 9th House of Representatives from 2019 to 2023. He credits Buhari's consistent support for the stability and legislative achievements recorded during that period. He said that the former president resisted attempts to use his office to manipulate the National Assembly for political ends. As a speaker, he enjoyed President Buhari's unflinching support amid persistent attempts by some to use his office to undermine the parliament for political gain. He noted he remembers Buhari as one who refrained from interfering in the affairs of the legislature and allowed it to concentrate on policy reform and effective governance. Now, while that is established, let's take a quick look at the executive legislature dynamics inside Buhari's 8-year dance with the National Assembly. The late former President Muhammadu Buhari's 8-year tenure was marked by a dynamic relationship with the National Assembly, one that swung from early confrontations to eventual alignment. While his first term was riddled with legislative gridlock, his second saw smoother cooperation that unlocked key reforms and budgetary stability. Now, in 2015, President Muhammadu Buhari entered office with a promise to fight corruption, revive the economy, and secure the country. But almost Almost immediately, tensions flared between the executive and the 8th National Assembly led by Bukola Saraki and Yakubu Dogara. From delayed budget approvals to rejected appointees, like the long-standing rejection of Ibrahim Magu as EFCC chairman, the relationship was anything but smooth. Buhari vetoed several bills, including multiple amendments to the Electoral Act, citing legal and logistical concerns. Many saw this as an era of cold politics and institutional rivalry. But the tone shifted dramatically in 2019 with the emergence of a more executive-aligned 9th National Assembly, led by Senate President Ahmed Lawan and Speaker Femi Gbetabiamila, dubbed by critics as a rubber stamp. This assembly proved pivotal to Buhari's reform agenda. For the first time in decades, Nigeria returned to a January to December budget cycle, with budget passed on schedule. Landmark laws like the Petroleum Industry Act, the Police Reform Bills, and the Companies and Allied Matters Act were passed and signed into law. Legislature also approved over $30 billion in loans, helping fund infrastructure projects from rail to power. But while economic reform accelerated, concerns about unchecked borrowing and rising debt trailed the administration. The signing of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill in 2022, after years of back and forth, was hailed as a victory for electoral transparency, introducing electronic transmission of results and fresh timelines for primaries. Now, despite moments of friction, particularly over security briefings and controversial appointments, Buhari's second term saw a more coordinated approach between Aso Rock and legislative chambers. From confrontation to cooperation, Buhari's legacy with the National Assembly tells a story of two halves. One marred by mistrust, the other defined by legislative breakthroughs. Whether by designs or circumstances, the former president leveraged parliamentary harmony in his later years to push through key reforms, shaping the nation's policy direction for years to come. All right, welcome back. Let's now quickly look at what was discussed at the Committee on Constitutional Review meeting in Niger State. Now, you would recall that there have been conversations regarding to constitutional review. And of course, Honourable Alhassan Ado Doguwa has said engaging the public will enable National Assembly to gain valuable insights into the needs and concerns of citizens, ultimately leading to more informed decision making. Let's look at how the meeting went. Of course, we had representatives from Kogi, we had that from Niger, and of course, other neighboring states. Let's look at some of the highlights in these videos.
I believe this is one great opportunity that is extended to our people, the youth, women, and the traditional institutions, to share with us their own thought, opinion, and of course, recommendation as to how our democratic process should be run. The book we call the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, even though we call it a supreme document of our democracy, was not cast on stone. It is meant for continuous review and review and review and review. And that those of us who are only privileged to be members of the National Assembly, we are not there because we are the best brains in our constituencies. Most of us are there by coincidence of humility of our traditional leaders, humility of our political leaders to just be there. Because apparently you cannot have 2-3 members representing one given community.
Simply to ensure that any provision in the Constitution that is capable of causing confusion or multiple interpretations is addressed through this ongoing amendment process. For instance, while it is general knowledge that lawmaking powers on every item in the exclusive legislative list rest squarely at the foot of the National Assembly or the federal government as required, and items on the concurrent list rest with both National Assembly and state assemblies, or both federal and state government as per Section 4 of the Constitution, certain issues are not expressly addressed by the Constitution. The situation as presently constituted is such that by Section 4, Sub 5 of the Constitution, if any law enacted by the House of Assembly of a state is inconsistent with any law validly made by the National Assembly, the law made by the National Assembly shall prevail, and that other law shall, to the extent of the inconsistency, be void.
So that was a submission there at the public hearing of the North Central, comprising of Kwara, we had Kogi, and also we had Niger State. And that particular hearing was held in Minna by the House Committee on the Review of the 1999 Constitution. They also assures of all-inclusive constitutional review process. One of the important things to note about this is that the organized labor in Niger State has rejected the proposal to transfer labor matters from the exclusive legislative list to the concurrent list. According to Nigerian Labour Congress NLC Chairman Comrade Idris Abdul Karim, which of course you heard him say there. Now Nigerians now have a chance to shape their democracy. The 10th House of Representatives, led by Right Honourable Tajudeen Abbas, is giving opportunity, and I must say that this is a great opportunity for the public to contribute to the constitutional review process and have their voices heard. That is very, very important. Now, before we head to our interview, just something that, I mean, last edition, we gave a snippet of some of the activities, and I did remember asking a question. Aside having to talk about the FCT minister, every time we get to hear her talk, this is one senator that we haven't seen much activities from her. But again, here she's on our radar on NASS Watch. She had an interview which she talked about the FCT minister and allocation of lands to his sons. Well, let's get to hear from her, and then we'll come back. We'll talk a bit about that before moving to our interview for today.
I have documents to show that when Minister Wike allocated land to his sons, huge tracts of land, fine, as he says, though they're his sons, they're entitled to land, no problem. But the bills, I have them documented, of 200 million that you need to pay, 100 million here that you need to pay, they wrote to him asking that the bill, he should give a waiver and reduce it. Within 48 hours, they're going from 200 million to 22 million.
And that's illegal, isn't it?
Of course it's illegal.
Right.
At the very least, it's unfair, it's unethical, at the very least. And these things.
Now, we do not have a problem with her, checkmating the activities of the FCT minister. That is absolutely amazing. But I'm looking forward to a time where we get to really deeply look into the activities of the senator representing the FCT, talking about Madam Iretiki Iyawe herself. We see her granting interviews, talking about the FCT minister, talking about what is not right. Applaudable, commendable. But how about she start talking about the things that she has done? One of these days on NASS Watch, we're really going to take an in-depth view into her activities as the FCT senator. Look at some of the bills that she's championing, motions she's supporting, and the likes, because we seem not to see much of it. So we're just curious at this point. Is your main aim to checkmate the FCT minister, or you have other things that you need to do in terms of representing your people well? Because a lot of complaints are going on that the senator representing the FCT, she is not living up to expectation. Well, I do hope that the next time we get to see her pop up on our radar, it won't be complaining about the FCT minister, but rather, giving us, rolling out ideas and activities that she has, embarked on. It would be such a delight to, sit down here on NASS Watch and talk to you about some of these activities of Madam Iretiki Iyawe. Anyway, let's now dive into something that we have for you today, this beautiful evening. It would interest you to know that NASS Watch sat down with the member representing Oredo Federal Constituency in Edo State, talking about Honourable Esosa Iyawe. And we had a great conversation from his defection to his 2 years in office to all the things that he has done for his people and if he's really living up to expectation. Let's have it.
We're talking about Oredo Federal Constituency, where you represent, and I tried to check around to see some of your activities, but it seems as though we're not seeing much, and it leaves people like me wondering, are you not doing enough? Which of course I know you're doing something. But let's start from the beginning. It's a great day for the people of Edo State. Let's talk about the atmosphere in the courtroom on the judgment. Let's talk about that very briefly.
I was in the court earlier, in the Supreme Court room, and it was the judgment where the appeal case from the PDP was struck out, and Senator Monday Opeolo, His Excellency, was declared the winner of the gubernatorial election recently held in Edo State. And I would like to say this is the time for togetherness, for all other parties, aggrieved parties, to come together and work with the Governor Paolo and move Edo forward.
Let's talk about you and your bills, basically. We do have a number of bills on the floor of the House. You've supported a couple of bills as well. But like I said before, sometimes our lawmakers, our representatives do things and persons are not able to see some of these things. Do you think that the activities that you're carrying out in your constituency is really what your people need? Or it's just activities that you believe that will help the people?
Most of my bills were actually coined out from what my people go through in Oredo. And I also looked at the broader picture to extend the gesture to other parts of the country. Like, for instance, the bill of women empowerment, women and youth empowerment, is something that I think if it gets through the third reading and gets assented, Nigerians will really, there will be an institution whereby women and youths, indigent women and youths could register, and they could receive direct grants and assistance from the federal government and empowerment. So it will really reduce the burden of most of these organizations that already exist by getting it straight from the center.
Another thing is that we're aware that there is a massive unemployment in your constituency. How are you handling that?
My constituency, yes. It's all about trying to rejig the minds of the youths in my constituency, because majority of the youths in my constituency, they need to understand that earning a living with 9 to 5 is something that can really be sustainable. I would have to say I have some programs that I recently set up to reduce cybercrime, and it's a pandemic in my constituency and in neighboring local governments. So I think that is a major factor, that we have people that graduate from universities and they have role models who are participated or participating in cybercrime. So they just look shy away from employment. Because I've had cases where I try to encourage people to apply for slots. I think the Nigerian police force was recruiting sometime last year. And I sent my aides and my coordinators to go around to ask most youths to register online for the employment opportunity. But the figures that we got back for people that applied from Oredo was very low. So it's something that we're trying to...
What if they don't want to be in the police force? I mean, I know that there have been conversations regarding to people from the south, people from the east not wanting to join the military and the likes. What if those in your constituency don't want to be in the police? Maybe they don't see the police as such a lucrative place to be. They don't want to fight for their fatherland. What if they want something else?
So on that note, I would like to just say the employment problem is a general problem.
But how are you handling it? Let's leave the police force. I mean, in other ways, maybe creating job opportunities.
Yeah, so the employment problem is a general problem, as I said earlier, and I know that Mr. President is trying so hard to initiate most of these agencies to recruit. Some of them have already brought out, I think they've already brought out portals that people applied, and they've not moved to the next step. And I think the reason why they're trying to manage the numbers that really applied. So while we wait for results to emerge, we've in my own constituency, we've been able to engage a lot of youths in skill acquisition. I've empowered a lot of youths, a lot of young boys in the streets to learn how to fish. By empowering them with, I think I've already given out over 50 buses, mini buses to some youths that they could use to start and earn a living. And some sewing machines for the women, some salon equipment, some makeup boxes to some youths. And the turnover was very overwhelming. The people that came to pick up and register for the empowerment programs were so huge that we couldn't even control, and I think we have another batch coming up that we'll still do before the end of the year.
I understand that you do so much from where you sit. You do so much for your people, but most times, that's why I had to ask for clarity purpose. If there were, if this were what the people needed, or it's just, oh, I know my people need this, but what if that's not what they need, like in the case of the police job, and they probably don't want to work in the police and all of that. So most times it's good to interact with your people, which now brings us to how do you engage with your people? Do you together at town hall meetings? How do you get feedback from these people that you're representing?
First of all, the work of a legislator is to legislate, move motions and bills that would better the lives of your constituents.
And also represent them adequately.
Yes, our central district. But while we deviate from that, we still need to have human empathy. We need to empower. We need to support. So I regularly go back to my constituency, and on a regular basis I engage myself with radio stations where we have people call in and ask direct questions. If I have programs, yes. If I have programs, I go through all these radio stations to more like advertise it and let people come and participate. Like recently I had a medical outreach in 3 different locations simultaneously, where people came and they had their vitals and they had got free medication, top-notch medication for malaria, typhoid, different illnesses. And the most intriguing part of that medical outreach was, from there we actually got some special cases where some, I think 2 young siblings had some defects in their bone, where we tried to work with them with the help of the CMD of UBTH to try and put them to at least to a reasonable state. And from that same medical outreach, we got about 58 candidate beneficiaries for eye surgeries, and we just concluded the last batch of the eye surgeries and it was a success, and I hope to go back to my constituency and see some of these beneficiaries. So I definitely communicate with my constituents, and I hope to do more for them as time comes.
Do you think that you've done enough for your people to say, yes, we think we want to have him again?
7 months into 2023, we had the issue with tribunal. So most members didn't really perform during that period because it was just back and forth, court cases with lawyers and all those things. And we just basically were not settled 7 months into this. So I could say about a year and 3 months is only what I've spent so far. And I believe I've done exceptionally well so far, my 2 years in office, my 1 year and 3 months in office, if you consider the tribunal issues that came up initially as a very huge distraction. I've moved motions, I've passed bills, I've done a lot of infrastructural developments in my constituency. I think we've just recently we crossed the 1,000 street lights targets that we tend to do in my constituency. A lot of streets have been lit up with my name tagged on it. The empowerment.
Some say that these lights are not working.
In my constituency, I don't think I've ever had any complaint about my street lights not working.
Okay. Go ahead.
Because my people definitely go around, and once it's installed, we actually go around for a week or two to make sure the lights are working and there are no obstructions to the solar panels that charges them.
I can confidently say that right now, if one would go there right now, you will find those lights working.
Yes, I was in Benin. I was in my constituency over the weekend, and I just somehow, some way decided to pass through some of the streets to just check.
And it was bright.
Yeah, to make sure that the vendor that we used did a good job. And last year, we did football tournaments that we are currently working on 4 football players to engage their football abroad. It's a process that is ongoing, and by the grace of God, we'll conclude it before the end of this summer season. I actually started, there was this food bank program that I kind of initiated last year. I did it for about 7 to 8 months, where people came to my constituency office and picked little palliative, if it's 5 kg of rice or 5 kg of beans and some foodstuffs for their homes, and sadly, I could say the turnout was overwhelming. But I said sadly because I wasn't expecting people to come to my constituency office, all dressed up for work, and let me just pick up this free palliative, because it was something that now it was like a clarion call to me that the inflation and the hardship in the country was still an issue.
Oh, you didn't know it was an issue before?
I knew, but I didn't know that this was something that we experienced through the turnout.
When was this exactly?
Last year, it was 2024, early 2024. We started it April and ended it about November. Okay. So it was a program that kept on going, because it was something that I personally, it was a constituency project. It was something that because of I used to have humanitarian support from, I used to do humanitarian activities before I became a House of Rep. So it's something that I knew that I have to do for my people. Mm-hmm. So I think with all the programs and all the proposed, because we just recently passed the 2025 budget, and I could see the renewed hope agenda, Mr. President.
Which now brings me to party politics, because we do know that, it's not news that you've shifted sides, and your people brought you in under a particular covering, and by default they were expecting that, okay, you're able to serve them under this covering, and then now you've jumped ship. My question to you would be, is that how you're going to be jumping ships if these places turn out to have internal crises?
No, you see, the straw that broke the camel's back for me was basically during the primaries of the gubernatorial election, 2024, Edo State governorship election. My party then, Labour Party, came off with the wrong foot. I would say that because I'm a prophet of zoning. And the ticket was to be zoned to Edo Central. But I was very vocal about it, and I even tweeted about it, that then Mr. Peter Obi emerged as a candidate of zoning. And it was only right for the party that Peter Obi brought to light to follow that rule and choose a candidate that would be zoned to the Edo Central. I'm from Edo South. My governor then was doing his 8th year from Edo South. If I wanted to be selfish, I would have said, okay, let us choose somebody from Edo South. Edo Nobaye, that's what they say in Benin. This is where the Oba is. My constituency is the house, the Oba's palace, the Benin monarch. So I would have said, okay, an Edo man, a Benin man should be the candidate. But, you know, the party leadership didn't see that. And they went against my suggestions by choosing somebody from the right zone. They chose somebody from Edo South, which is from the same place I am from, and the same place then Governor Obaseki was from. So we are talking about the person doing, it will be 16 years if the person successfully does 2 tenures. And that means we from Edo South, if you put in Lucky Benedion, that means we'll be doing close to 24 years. And Edo Central, Edo North, which Shomole is from, had already done 8 years. Edo Central only did 1 year and some months. So it's only right for us to zone it to the Central. So when I found, when it did turn out that way, the candidate from Edo South emerged, I vehemently didn't support that candidate. I actually just sat at home and saw the whole thing play out. And they saw my body language. They decided to want to punish me for it by not acknowledging me in some events and some pettiness. But I grew above that and just decided to wait and see what the result of the election would be. It was politically not right and not the right thing to do.
So you had no interest?
Not at all. I'm from Edo South. I would have even come on myself and said, I want to contest. No, it didn't get to me.
But let's not delve so much on party politics. Let's now come back to your activity as a representative, your people. My question now is, I'm very curious. So what happens if we begin to probably experience party crisis in the APC? Are we going to see you jump ship again? Or are you going to be able to handle it better inside?
You know, there are 2 types of politicians in Nigeria.
Which one are you?
The one that sees a hole and says, I must go to that hole and I must get what I want, even if there's a hole there. And the one that just does the right thing and goes with the wind. I think I am the one that goes with the wind and just do the right thing and goes with the wind. It's all about doing the right thing in politics. Okay. You know, APC is the ruling party. And people cannot expect to have the change that they are clamoring for if you don't vote in good people that are in APC. APC might have bad people, but still there are some people with human empathy. There are some good people with good intentions. Like my governor, he's an example of those kind of good people. You know, when he won, he didn't just sit back and relax. He goes to sites where they are doing the roads, infrastructural work. He goes there on a Sunday. He goes to schools. He walks the walks and talks the talk. You know, even despite during the tribunal distractions, I could call it. You know, so it's somebody I know that wants to leave a good legacy, and that's the kind of politician that I am. It's all about leaving a good legacy. So, internal crisis, I don't think it's going to happen in Edo State because I know the government is on the helm of things. We hope to get everything cordially done and done with the right leadership.
Let's now talk about accountability. How do you intend to be accountable to your people? How do you intend, how do you want your people to hold you accountable? How do you want to be accountable? I mean, we have a lot of leaders who are not accountable to their people. They just believe that, oh, I'm here, but they forget that the people chose you to represent them, to serve them. So you're first a servant. So how do these people who have chosen you to serve them and guide them, how are they supposed to hold you accountable? What are the methods you put in place to be accountable?
So about the accountability, I have total amount of 24 coordinators. And those coordinators, I call them my liaison officers. You know, Oredo still has some communal areas where it's a rural area. So regularly, people meet my liaison officers, people that can access my constituency office. My constituency office doors are always open, inquiries, and I make sure I spend a huge amount of my monthly budget on media, letting people know what is out there, what I've done, and actually that's the radio interviews that I do on a regular basis, where people call in. It's all about questions and answers, complaints, and I have to say I receive a lot and I try to manage a lot of them. So I'm accessible, and at the same time, it's accountability.
I was having a conversation with someone, and I remember that there was a question specifically for you, and the question is that did you need to jump ships? Wouldn't you have still served your people while in the party that you were before?
You see,
was it necessary to jump ship?
You see, I take this, a political party is a vehicle, you know. If you are driving to Lagos from Abuja and your vehicle keeps giving you issues, even if you change the engine and change the tires, an issue keeps coming up, I think after a while you just have to just sell the car and get another one. You know, Labour Party then, the issue about that primaries that started the whole problem, I think that was even the onus of the problem of Labour Party in Nigeria.
But they voted you for you, not because of your party.
No, hold on, because if the head of the snake is bad, there's no way the snake can move. That was the onus, the downfall of the party in Nigeria from that primaries. Because obedient movement came up because of Mr. Peter Obi. And Mr. Peter Obi was riding on the platform of the Labour Party. So it was one synergy. You know, but unfortunately for the party didn't even acknowledge the obedient movement during the gubernatorial election. So now you see campaign billboards then, obedient for PDP, obedient for SDP in Edo State during the governorship campaign. So the fire just dwindled off. And at that point in time, I deemed it fit. My followers they were all ridiculed and they were all being punished for speaking the truth about zoning. At some point, they were not even being called for campaign rallies. They were being sidelined from occasions. So we all sat together and we made a decision. We are going to move to APC. Anyway, the people of Oredo, I want to thank you all for the support so far these 2 years in office, and I will promise that I will continue bringing the dividends of democracy to Oredo, empowerment programs, and support the youths and women and elders of the community. Let us carry each other and let us make Oredo great by supporting the Governor, His Excellency Senator Monday Okweolo, and his leadership, and we make Edo grow. Thank you very much.
All right, that was a great conversation there with Honourable Iyawe, Esosa Iyawe, representing Oredo Federal Constituency. I must say that let's look at a little, just very briefly, some of the bills and motions of the member. Motion on the need to include the revitalization of Gele Seaport in Edo in the 2024 budget estimates, and of course we also have him motion on the need to compel all uniform government organizations to patronize the National Union of Textile, Garment and Tailoring Workers in Nigeria. We also have him motion on the urgent call to suspend and investigate the proposed increase in subscription of prices by MultiChoice. One of those persons that, were very vocal on that conversation. Urgent need to address the outrage resulting from unguarded comments by the chief executive of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Authority towards Dangote Refinery, and a lot more other bills and motions. Well, he has said that he has served his people well in the last 2 years, or 1 year and 3 months. It's now left for the people of Oredo Federal Constituency to say if he has done well or not. Well, don't forget that you can actually be a part of the show. You can actually send us messages on our social platform and let us know if your House of Reps member is living up to expectation, if he's representing you well. And of course, if we need to call them out, we will definitely call them out. That is why we're here. And for anyone who says they've done something, they have to be proof on ground. And so if you're very sure that these things that Honourable Esosa has said he has done, there's no evidence of these on ground, why not? Feel free to reach out to us on our social platform at Rapid TV, official Rapid TV, on all our social media platforms, and let us know. And that's the size of our package for the show this evening. As we wrap up tonight's episode of NASS Watch, we hope you've enjoyed your discussion on the legacies of late President Muhammadu Buhari and the latest legislative activities from the National Assembly. Don't forget to tune in next week for more exciting topics, guests, and of course, insightful discussions on Nigeria's legislative processes. And of course, don't forget, a repeat comes on Sunday at 7 p.m. Until then, good night, and thank you for watching NASS Watch. My name is Cynthia Agbo. The news comes up at 8 o'clock.
This is Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN. We connect people, power stories, and amplify voices. On Rapid TV, we're rooted in culture and your window to the stories that matter. From news to lifestyle, we inform, entertain, and uplift. Join Rapid TV on Star Times Channel 176, Nightcom Sat. On Rapid FM, we speak your language, from the soulful airwaves of Umuahia to the vibrant culture of Port Harcourt and beyond. More than broadcasters, we're creators, amplifying that voice within with powerful content across TV, radio, and digital. Join us at rbnradiotv.com and all our social media handles. One network, one voice. Rapid Broadcasting Network, RBN, the sound of your city, rooted in truth. Driven by impact.
Meet the men and women shaping the future of Nigeria. Get to know your representatives at the National Assembly. From lawmaking to constituency projects, we'll take you behind the scenes and inside the chambers of the Nigerian National Assembly. Learn about the bills they are championing, the challenges they are facing, and the impacts they are making in their constituencies. We'll also bring you closer to the people they are serving and the stories that shape their work. Join us on NASS Watch every Friday on Rapid Television at 7 p.m. So get informed, get engaged, and get to know the leaders shaping Nigeria's future.
My name is Aki Osakido.
Hey guys, this is Anto Lecky.
My name is Edo Bliss.
My name is Akava. I go by the name Baba Didi.
And you're tuned into Rapid TV.
And I love Rapid TV.
Shout out.
Rapid TV.
Thank you, Rapid TV. Please keep watching
Rapid TV. This is Rapid TV.
Rapid.
Rapid TV.
Keep watching.
Keep it meltdown.
Leave it like that.